imagination and fantasy. Yeah. There's so much imagination, there's so much fantasy and flair. Imagination and flair, lack a bit of imagination, fantasy, imagination and fantasy. Yeah. There's so much imagination, with so much fantasy and flair. Imagination and flair, lack a bit of imagination and fantasy.
Yeah. 98% humidity.
Anyway, good evening. Welcome back to episode 24 now.
Yes.
Of the Sokkah podcast. We're joined by Riley Woodcock this week.
Welcome, Riley.
Welcome,
Hey
Riley.
Guys. Thanks for having me.
No worries.
Anytime.
Easter Sunday special, Joe.
Yeah, it's an Easter Sunday special.
Watch live stream church.
Dude, like Mum's been watching it like for the last 3 hours.
What is she watching it on?
I think like ABC is showing like the Vatican one, so there's like Pope Francis and like his mates. So
and his mates.
Yeah.
Nice, Joe. Did you have a big lunch today?
So I had some ravioli today. And then I had some pulled pork with some like tomato sugo. It was beautiful. So yeah, I'm guessing Trent, you had like a big wog feast as well.
So that's dinner tonight. So
dinner. Okay, you've done it differently.
Yeah, recording on not an empty stomach, but not a big meal. So Riley, what about you?
I've just had a few hot cross buns, but not too much.
You're saving it for later tonight, it seems.
Yeah.
But yeah, for those who don't know, Riley is a former Perth Glory and Sydney FC player. You've also played for Sydney United and Sydney Olympic, is that right?
Yeah.
And you're at Coburn now, is that right?
Yeah, back at Coburn.
Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, you played for Glory like 2013 to 2015.
Yeah.
Ballpark. Yeah, it was a few years ago anyway.
Around that period, I think.
Like I won't lie, you look very different compared to then.
Yeah. I would have had the number one on the sides and the snippet girls that take the gel and shit.
So Riley, tell us about how at the moment where you're working and how you got into working with F45.
So when I was at Glory, they try and make you do some kind of study and all that kind of stuff. So they each team every year they can pick 2 players and you can do a personal training course and stuff, and it's very subsidized. You don't have to pay much to do it. So I did it when I was at Glory with Danny Vukovic, and then when I went over to Sydney FC, Sydney rent was pretty expensive and everything. I wasn't playing that much because I had a broken ankle, so I started doing some casual work in a gym to get a bit more money on top of my salary for cash. And then I kind of just got into F45 from there. It was across the road from my house, so it was pretty easy.
Now with F45, Mark Wahlberg owns a bit of the stake in Australia. Have you met him?
No,
not yet.
We've been on we've been lucky enough to jump on conference calls with the CEO, and he's kind of there and says his part, but you're not interacting where you can kind of say anything to him.
Yeah. So you're not in a WhatsApp group chat with him yet?
Nah, not yet. Soon though, I think.
Yeah.
One day.
I'll join
That's the goal.
Now, Joe, you are wearing a lovely English top. Could
Yeah,
you tell me
looks
about
like. Yeah, I'm wearing an England Umbro kit. Looks like I'm about to beat up some of the away fans. But yeah, this one's from the Vintage Soccer Shirts Australia. They've plugged me with this one this week. You can buy it online at vintagesoccershirtsau.com.
Good, Joe. Good.
Yeah, Trent, who are you wearing today?
Bayern Munich. This is nice. This is like an alternate. This is an Iron Robin special, I reckon.
I got stitched up this week with the England kit.
Yeah, this is sick. So, vintage soccer shirts, Sokkah at the checkout for 10% off.
Yeah, they shipping to Australia, Soccer Pod, promo code 10% off.
Awesome.
And Trent, do you need to live stream an event anytime soon?
I do, Joe. I do. Streamgate Australia live streaming, premium live streaming service in Australia. Our sponsors, give them a look if you want to stream in different audio tracks, multiple languages. Incorporate different sponsors all over social media. They will live stream your event. If you want to live stream your local church, I reckon call Dennis up and he'll help you out. Cool.
But yeah, like we'll get back to F45 because I've got a few like interesting questions about it. Just out of my curiosity, how many push-ups can you do, Riley?
Fuck. When people ask how many juggles can you do? I've got
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah.
I've tried.
I reckon. Can you do more push-ups than juggles?
Oh, yeah. Probably my current form, I reckon.
I reckon because I'm working from home now, and like every hour I try to like knock out a few like push-ups. I think I can do between like 10 and 30, like pretty confidently.
Okay. Do you want me to give you a ballpark figure?
Yeah, give me a ballpark figure. I'm interested to know.
I reckon I'd get around straight, probably 70, and then I'd be gassed.
Nice. Joe,
But
you've
at the
got
moment, it's
a lot
because I've got
to
to take so many Zoom virtual fitness classes each day that I'm just having to do like 3 workouts a day.
Yeah, right. So are you still working now and it's all on Zoom?
Yeah, so we just run all our classes virtually via Zoom, but only this week did F45 update their tech where we don't have to actually physically do the classes. We can still share a screen, but up until, halfway through this week, for the last 3 weeks, I've been having to run them and do them as the kind of demo guy. So
Right.
it's just been a punish,
So how does pre the sort of pandemic, how does your sort of work week go and how many classes do you run a day?
So I'm the manager of the CBD one. We have a few casuals. I only run about 15 hours of classes each week. Most of my kind of job is outreaching to corporate businesses, I guess, and trying to get new clients into the gym. But normally for me, I kind of rock into the city about 6, take 2 hours of classes, hang there till lunchtime, take a lunchtime class, and then I'm kind of done by about 1.
That's sick.
Pretty good schedule.
Yeah, pretty good gig.
So Riley, I'm a member of Jets.
Yes.
Say you want to recruit me to F45. Like, what do you have to say?
How much money you earn?
Enough. Like, say, like,
No,
I
I'm
can easily afford it.
Okay. Look, pretty much F45's kind of sales pitch is like, are you bored with what you're currently doing at the gym? If you come and train with us, it's different every day. You don't have to think about it. 45 minutes, you're in and out of the door. It's brainless. Team
Hence the
training.
name F45.
And right, do you get a lot of footballers come in, or is it mainly just all over the place?
With the one in the CBD, it's pretty much all just middle-aged corporates, guys along the terrace that are just trying to compensate their 10 beers they drink a day. Like,
Meanwhile, I'm drinking as well.
I saw that and I was thinking, I should have been better prepared.
Yeah.
A few of the guys, like when I was in Sydney, would come through in pre-season and do a few of the classes. So, like last year, I went back and played for Sydney Olympic for a bit, and it was the off season for the A-League. So my mate Ryan Grant came down and did a few classes with me in his pre-season because he still had Socceroos stuff going on, so he had to keep fit. But yeah, I mean, it's like, it's good because it's one of them things that's designed as you can kind of go at your own speed. If you want to really go ham, you can go ham, or you can just cruise through and have a perp.
I like it.
Now, like, I've also heard in Sydney, Mark Warren, I think he's like a gym manager as well.
Yeah.
Are you aware of this? Yeah.
Yeah, so he's at F45 as well, around the Cronulla area. He's a manager or a head trainer at one of the F45s, but they take care of like a big group of F45s. So he can kind of move around studios.
So it seems like F45, they're like, the kind of employees they want to recruit are like A-League fullbacks.
A-League left backs.
I think they just look at, for little left back rejects.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. All right. Now, Ryan, I want to ask you about sort of in your junior years. Were you involved with the NTC?
Yeah.
So how was that? Because they don't run that anymore, sort of as it was. And so how did you find that? And was that really? I'm sure I've heard it was really awesome when it happened.
Yeah, NTC was great for me. I went into the NTC when I was 14. I was a pretty young kind of guy and just had Kenny straight off the bat. And that was heaps good for me because I came from, as a junior, I played for Gosnells and Forestfield, so not really highly regarded clubs. So going into the NTC with some pretty good players and the coaches and stuff, it was good. Hey, I loved it.
Yeah. And how are the camps like? So did you go like, was it like a holiday thing, or do you do it like with training with your club, or is it extra training sessions kind of thing?
So back then it was you kind of leave. Well, you had players who still played for their clubs and would train on, but then there was a group of players that were only for NTC and you'd play in the Resis League.
Yeah.
So we were kind of full time in that sense, where we train, I don't know, 3-4 times a week and then play in the Reserves League.
Yeah, cool.
Which was pretty interesting to play in as like a 14-year-old.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no.
Yeah, you're also part of the Ollie Roos setup for a bit, weren't you?
Yeah, so I was pretty lucky as a junior. I went under-17s World Cup, played for the under-20s, and then had a few stints with the under-23s when I was a bit younger. That was good. I didn't play too much for them because I was 3 years younger than the age group it was. But yeah, I had a few camps with a few of the boys.
So which one did you captain? Because I've seen a few photos and you've been like holding that like little like flag thing and all that.
Yeah.
The little flag.
That was in the young Socceroos under-20s, but it's a bit of a scam, to be honest. I wasn't like the actual captain. I was just captain at one tournament because the captain was injured. Right. But now I've kind of got this title following me around that I was the skipper. It's funny because I was not the skipper.
Yeah, you can just chuck that on your resume and you're sorted.
Yeah. Who was the captain? Who was injured?
Haji Gligor used to be the captain for us. Yeah.
Oh, true. He's a good player. What does he play now?
He went through Glory and stuff. He's at Sydney Olympic as well, actually.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay, yeah. I remember him, yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Did he get you the gig there last season?
Yeah. So.
Or did he like put in a good word for you and all that?
Yeah. When I left Sydney FC, I went to Sydney United straight off the bat, and didn't really like it there. It was just kind of, I still had an agent, and he got me that little gig for a few months, and then the next year when I was like, I'll stay in the NPL. A few of my mates, Haji, Max Burgess, and a couple other guys I'd played with in the youth teams and stuff, they were all there, and they were like, come across here, we'll put in a good word, you can kind of get some good money. And then that year we actually won it, so we had a pretty good year.
Yeah.
That's sick. That's so good.
Yeah, because I've heard the standard of especially the Eastern States NPL leagues, like in Victoria and New South Wales, they're a lot higher standard than in WA from what we've heard. Would you tend to agree with that? Yeah,
they're definitely a little bit more advanced. I think it's more so obviously population's bigger, but because they can just pay so much, so that's why you see so many of the good players from WA, they go across to Victoria or whatever. Sydney with the RSL clubs and everything, and these owners, you got some players in the league, this wasn't me, but some players in the league that were on $3.5 grand a game.
Just ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember hearing stories about Ben Kalfala when he went to one of the NPL teams. He was at Victoria in Brisbane. He was on a crazy amount. And
he was in, I think it was NPL 2 in Melbourne, I think it was.
Yeah, that Dandenong club. Matteo Poljak, I don't know if you remember that guy.
Oh, yeah.
He left West Sydney to go to Marconi and was on 75 grand a year to train.
Oh, shit. 2
nights a week and play on the weekend. They didn't even make the finals.
That's
unbelievable.
Crazy. So, yeah, because I know some, and you would know, we're not to talk specifics, but some A-League youth contracts can be pretty abysmal in terms of pay compared to, it might be better off for some players paying NPL than have another job.
Yeah, that was me 101. From leaving Sydney FC to go full-time salary at a job and play NPL, I was earning, 40, 50 grand more than I was in the A-League.
Yeah.
Shit.
It's pretty crazy. That's why especially in those leagues, there's a lot of guys that I'm sure if they were given the opportunity, they'd still go into the A-League. But for a lot of the older ones, when they're only on medium wage in the A-League, and they're like, I may as well go get a job and work and not have to, sacrifice so many things to be in this A-League and just sit on the bench.
Yeah, no, very, very true. So talk us through when you were at Perth Glory and Sydney FC, and so obviously game time was fairly limited, but in terms of how was your enjoyment of both places and comparing the two as well?
Yeah, Glory was good fun because we had, such a good young group of guys at the time. Alistair had gone through and signed all of the young Perth boys and everything, so it was great for us because there was about a group of 11 or 12 of us that all knew each other through juniors and young Socceroos and all this kind of stuff. So that was, good fun because we were freshly kind of 18 in the Glory squad. Game time wasn't limited, but we were kind of there. It was good fun.
Yeah. On a side note there, being 18 and like just signing a pro contract, that'd be the dream. You could like just like going to nightclubs, you'd be like that confident.
Yeah, I'm sure you went in there confident and not one person knows who you are.
Yeah.
Only like two. Only me and Joe would know.
All right, yeah.
So yeah, Glory was great, and then I was unlucky for him, but I had a year where Jamo was injured, so I played a few games for a stretch there, so that was good fun. Yeah. But then that was the year the year after, Glory breached the salary cap and everything, and the club kind of went to a bit of shit, and we went through a new coach, and Kenny came in, and it was all just a bit messy for players because you had no consistency with the manager. Yeah. And then Sydney FC, I went there with big hopes and dreams and was injured after the first 3 weeks for a year. So my first year in Sydney was literally just hunting cafes and bars and drinking.
That's a life.
Yeah.
How did the offer from How did the offer from Sydney come about? Was it through your agent or? Yeah,
it was pretty messy actually. I'd gone through the whole kind of back end of the season with Glory, with Kenny negotiating a new deal. Yeah. And that was all pretty much set in stone. I was meant to go and sign it. I actually went to the office to sign it. And when I was on my way to the office, my agent called me and was like, hey, Arnie's interested in signing you, but it's only going to be like a 1 year deal, nothing great. Right. But, I just thought I'd let you know it's up to you what you want to do with it. And I was kind of like, fuck, back end of the season, Kenny didn't play me much. He played clears. I'm kind of, the backup here. I'm, not getting much game time. So maybe a 1 year deal with Arnie might be a good option. He might see something in me and stuff. So I had to go in and say, sorry, I'm not signing this deal that we've just been negotiating for 3 months. And then, signed for Sydney. It was all just virtual. Arnie just called me. We spoke on the phone and signed and moved about 6 weeks later.
So, did you have to do, a medical and all that?
No, I didn't because I was scared at the time. I was playing games in the youth league and stuff. So, no medical. It was just a pretty dismal 1 year contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how quick was the injury into the contract?
About 4 to 6 weeks. It was second game of preseason.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And was that as an ankle, did you say?
Yeah, it was me just trying to be a bit too much of a hard man in a friendly game against a state league team, and I kind of tackled this guy and I broke my ankle.
Oh, no. Shit.
Now, when you were in Sydney, is it true you was it a share house with Ryan Grant, Calver, and there was another one who I can't remember his name? Is that true?
No. So I lived with Brandon O'Neill and Andrew Hull.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And then I moved to a suburb called Coogee over here, Coogee, to live with my partner. But Ryan, Seb Ryle, Josh Brillante, and Aaron, they all lived together in a house in Bondi, which was only a couple of minutes away.
Yeah, I mean, such good value with Hooley around. He would have provided some good banter.
Yeah, man, he was a funny character to live with because he's so energetic. He'd be DJing at fucking 11 p.m. at night on a Monday night next to your bedroom,
Because I remember the last thing I heard about Andrew Hull was he was on an A-League away day with, I think he was at Jets at the time, and he was someone's found him on Tinder under a different name. So I had all of these photos of Andrew Hull, but his name was Matthew or something. So
no, it could have been someone just taking his photos as well.
Or it could have been that.
No comment.
Yeah. It's he wasn't pulling any of that when you were sharing a house with him.
Oh, no comment.
Good. That's. We'll leave it there.
Yeah, we ask the hard-hitting questions here, so. Now, I've also got a list of players you've played with. So at Glory, we had, so you mentioned Danny Vukovic, Ruben Zadkovic. He's one of my personal favourite players for some reason. I've got his haircut now, actually.
Yeah.
You played with Danny De Silva for a bit. What was it like seeing such a young kid progress and then obviously get signed by Roma and all that, and then like come back?
Yeah, I mean, when you grow up with these guys, it's all, you kind of just know them personally, and then all humble guys. There's no one I've really ever played with that's been like an arrogant kind of demeanor and stuff. So to see Danny do well was kind of like, yeah, standard, because in training and everything he was, tearing it up. So it was kind of like just waiting for it to happen. But
Yeah,
to see him back here now and everything, that's just football, I mean,
what was the dynamic in training with like, especially like a lot more of your senior players seeing like the 16-year-old like week in week out playing? Does that like affect them or?
Not really, but Glory got a bit rough in some spots where like obviously the Edwards boys were playing over Jacob Burns and things like that. So, some of the older players got a bit bitter sometimes when young players were doing well, but Danny wasn't one of these ones. I mean, everyone could see how good he was doing in training, and he had like a bit of flair that no one else was training with and stuff. So it wasn't like, fuck, why is he playing? It was kind of like, oh, fair enough, he's just not me.
Also I've got a theory about De Silva as well. So he was obviously like awesome, like when he was 16 and all that. This is before he got all of his tattoos. Now he's got all of his tattoos and he's like playing with the Mariners now, and he's like neither here nor there. Like, do you reckon there's like anything into my like hypothesis there?
Maybe, man. I got a half sleeve, and that was kind of the start of my decline. So you might be able to tell me.
I was gonna say, how's the football career gone post the sleeve?
We could be onto something here, I think.
I've heard this theory before. It's not bad.
Yeah,
also,
I think to drop a league.
now, did you play with William Gallas as well?
Yeah.
What was he like having around?
Pretty amazing, to see like a guy. I'm an Arsenal fan, so it was cool to have him there.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was cool to have him because I watch him on TV so much as a youngster and stuff. But he was like, one of these guys that was the ultimate pro kind of in the week. He was always in the gym, on the bike, doing things to keep his body so primed, and he was in such good shape. And then you'd just hear about, the stories of his party life in Perth that year when he was here. Like, they would just hire out the penthouse at the Crown and things like that. But he was a strange character. I think after a few months he realised how kind of above it he was, and he just kind of got a bit over it and was frustrated in training because we were rubbish as well. We were like ninth or something.
I remember like, it was one of his first games, like he nearly scored a bicycle kick.
Yeah, that was away at Wellington. They hit the post or something.
That was a home game.
I was playing next to him that game when he did like the miss kick out the back.
Oh yeah,
the windy, where he hit it with his standing foot and they went and scored.
Yeah.
I was on the pitch next to him at left back, and I was fucking so hard not to laugh.
I do vividly remember that as well.
Like, I remember his first game for Glory as well. Like they interviewed him post game, and he was just like sweating buckets, and he couldn't get a word, and he was like that out of breath. It was like
35 degrees that day as well. I remember.
Yeah, I remember that game.
Right. Riley, I'll ask you, Joe. Hold on. Hold a thought.
Yeah.
In terms of your diet, and I know you said you started working at gym pretty early on at Glory. Have you always had been really focused on that, and how did it help you with your football, like really focusing on your food?
Yeah, when I was at the AIS, we had to do a nutrition thing with a lady where we'd all have to go to a seminar like twice a week, and they started doing like your skin folds and that when it's the age of 14, 15, so you kind of always had to be in good nick, but you kind of learn about good foods when you had to do that twice a week. And then from there, yeah, I guess, we've always kind of got like a holiday in the horizon or something. So you just try and stay in shape for that.
Yeah, true.
And trying to compensate how many beers I drink on a weekend.
Yeah.
Do you have a specific pre-game meal or routine you go through?
Yeah, I don't really have like them little things where people put their left boot on first or do all that kind of stuff. But just typical, just try and carb up the night before, and in the morning just go down the beach and have a coffee.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
What kind of coffee do you get, Riley?
Me? I'm a soy cat.
Oh, soy. Interesting.
We might have to end the interview there.
My partner claims she's lactose, so she got me onto the soy.
Okay, fair enough. Have you tried lactose-free milk?
Nah, I haven't actually.
Okay, I recommend it. I'd recommend it. It's good.
All right.
I'm on that.
Okay. Soy cap extra chocolate.
That's not bad.
But yeah, anyway, I wanted to get to the players you played with at Sydney. So obviously you mentioned before, like Ryan Grant.
Mhm.
Playing with him like 5-6 years ago, however long it was, did you like ever expect him to reach his quality now, like being like the Socceroos #1 right back? Like,
Being frankly honest, no.
yeah,
No, and it wasn't out of thinking he wasn't of standard or whatever. It was more so like Ryan and I were like such close mates that we were, going out so much together and everything. And he was at that stage at Sydney more of like a play centre midfield, play left back, play right back kind of utility guy. So if you had said like, oh, he'll be starting right back for the Socceroos in 4 years, I'd be like, don't know.
With a mullet.
It's also Ryan's also one of these guys that like, he loves soccer, but he doesn't love soccer. If you know what I mean.
No, I do, because I know a lot of footballers I have heard that like obviously they're professionals, but like I think I can't remember the interview it was, but some people just don't watch football. Like it's their job, and their passion. It's like it's split between that.
Yeah, like they wouldn't sit down and watch an A-League game or anything like that.
Now I've got another theory here.
Okay.
This one's about Ryan Grant. Do you reckon he doesn't get caught up to the Socceroos without his mullet?
Yeah, it's what people used to say about Musti as well. When Musti Amini used to get all that praise when he was at the Mariners because he had an afro.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't get like all this media attention without it.
It's true.
It is a lot of media attention. I think, his form for Sydney winning it the last few years and everything. He scored in a granny and stuff like that. He's been pretty good though.
Yes.
Yeah, I won't lie.
Yeah, Graham Arnold doing the Socceroos has also helped that. But yeah, no, he's been good.
Yeah, it's helped a lot of people, I
think. Sure.
Just as well, like last year, obviously Perth versus Sydney in the GF. Who were you like supporting that game?
So I went to the game. I was going for Sydney only because I'd only just left Sydney, say 2 years earlier. So the whole squad was kind of all my mates still. Where at Glory, I didn't really know anyone. The only people I knew was Chris Harold and Granny. I obviously knew like economies and stuff, but I wasn't mates with them. So it was like watching people I'm actually mates with, have travelled Europe with and stuff.
Yeah.
Versus fucking Jason Davidson and these kind of guys.
Now, like actually watching back on that grand final, the battle between Jason Davidson and Ryan Grant, that was probably one of the highlights.
Yeah, haircut versus haircut, eh?
Yeah.
Bleach blonde versus mullet.
Yeah, at two different ends of the spectrum.
No, that was entertaining to watch because I don't know what they personally think of each other, but you probably got out of that they probably don't like each other's whole vibe. So it's funny to watch.
When you came back from the ankle injury, how long to the season was it, and was there any were you thinking you're going to get some game time at Sydney?
It was a bit of a fuck around. So I when they first scanned my ankle, they just said you've torn these ligaments, you'll be back in 8 to 10 weeks. So I was in a moon boot and stuff and started coming back. I started training for a couple of weeks and I just couldn't run. It was rubbish. I was so slow and I was like, what is going on? And they're like, it should be, you're 10 weeks, it should be fine.
Yeah.
And I was just in so much pain. So I was like, oh, can we go and scan it again? Because I'm just not confident with this. And then they came back like, oh, it's actually fractured. So I was trying to.
How do they pick that up?
I know. So I had to go back in the boot, and then because I obviously only signed that 1 year deal.
Yeah.
It got to about the last kind of 8 to 10 weeks of my contract, and I was like stuffed here. So my options were kind of just keep getting cortisones every few weeks to kind of get through, and try and play some games because. Like Ali Abbas and the guys that were there at the time, Gers back and left and stuff. So there was a bit of an opportunity there. And then, I played a few games in the Champions League and stuff. And thankfully for me, it was enough that they re-signed me. And then I got surgery in that off season. And then I came back for a second year. And then I left about 4 months later.
Yeah. So you were playing in a period with a sort of fractured ankle without
Just jabbed up, on cortisone.
Shit, man. That's
Totally wow.
and you've done so well to get another contract as well from that.
I know, and then for 4 months later, just go, I'm not enjoying this. I want to stop.
So is that what happened? Is that how it all came about?
A little bit. Like it got to about Christmas time of the next year, and I hadn't played a game. I was nowhere near the team. Obviously, Zulo was the left back that year, and Sydney were on top by like fucking 10 points or whatever. And I was like the only one that was like, 20 odd playing for the youth team every week, and I was like, I hate this. And then my agent was kind of like, you can go to this state league team, get this amount of money. I was doing shifts at F45, and I was like, fuck it, I'll go play in the state league for a few months and see if next year I want to go to a different team or if that option's even there. Yeah. And then after a few months of not being in the system and stuff, I kind of enjoyed myself. When I travelled in the off season, and then got full-time work.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I've noted off your Instagram, Bali seems to be one of your favourite locations.
Yeah. I was pretty lucky though, because a girl I was working with in Sydney, she's like pretty big in the whole fitness industry and stuff. So she runs retreats in Bali. So she's taken me on a couple of retreats as like one of the trainers with her. So I've been lucky to go there a couple of times for
on a working holiday. That's it. That's cool.
But whereabouts in Bali did you stay?
She ran these retreats out of a place called Commune, which is a surf beach a bit further out. It's about an hour out, pretty isolated out near Ubud.
Yeah, because where was I? I was in Bali like earlier this year. Where was I? Canggu. I was like, awesome place. Yeah, like I wouldn't be doing like much fitness though. So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Joe, did you sign up for an F45 class?
In Bali, no. No, it's not my cup of tea. But like I've been trying to go to the gym, but like obviously now with like coronavirus, like can't go and all that. So like I've kind of taken it as a sign that like I've worked hard, so like this is like my break.
Fair enough, man. You're looking good, Touch.
Yeah, I'm alright. Yeah.
So Joe, you got your gym membership like the first week of January, I remember.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, that was like a decent deal as well. So.
Have they suspended your membership for the closure?
No, I'm just paying less money.
Have they not suspended your membership?
No, because I still need to pay all the managers, and like I still want to like support like.
Are you supporting local business? Are you?
Yeah, I'm supporting local business. So.
Interesting. So because at my gym they've like suspended the membership. Interesting.
What are you paying? $10 a week or something?
I was paying like 15 a week, so it was like 30 a fortnight. But I think they've reduced it to like 7 a week, just so like they can pay all the managers. And I thought, why not?
I like that, Joe. I like that.
Yeah, nice. I can appreciate that.
Yeah. Anytime.
I'm paying my salary right now as well. Doing the same thing.
For sure. All right.
So I've also got another gym-related question. What's the secret to a good gym playlist?
Like, some days when I'm running, like if I get stitched up by myself and I have to run 5 or 6 classes, there's 5 or 6 hours of like live music.
That's a big responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also like, it's a lot of music to be streaming. I think for me, if I'm doing like burpees and high cardio stuff, I like, kind of house intense kind of music. Where if I'm lifting weights, then I want it to be more kind of black gangster kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's an interesting take. Because like at my gym, like every 4th song, it feels like it is Dance Monkey.
That's because is this played by Jets or you?
No, Jets. No, like I think I have like a similar like taste in music because like with me it's like house music, and every now and then like James Bond themes. I don't know why, but it just gets me like in the mood to run.
Do you guys know? Do you know Caleb Aquino?
Nah.
Ever heard of the Aquino brothers?
Yeah, last name rings a bell. Yeah, Aquino. Yeah.
Yeah, their dad used to coach like Perth and stuff many years ago, and Jacob, his brother Jacob plays for Rockingham. Anyway, he works at my gym, and he's kind of the DJ for us. He makes like a new playlist every day, and he's pretty up to date with searching Spotify and getting all new songs and stuff. So it makes it pretty easy for me.
You could actually get in touch with Andrew Hall, and he can DJ.
Yeah.
I was looking if he had a SoundCloud. I don't know. Let me just confirm.
Let me see if he's on Tinder in Perth.
No, but the playlist I have found is very important at the gym. I think it really So at F45, do you just run music in the background, or people bring their own like headphones and stuff?
Nah, we have like their own FM that you have to play over the top, which is actually there's someone's job employed full time at F45 to be a DJ. But yeah, I've got two people since I've been there that come in with their own pods and train because they want to listen to their own music.
Yeah, right.
Because like F45 is more like you need to listen to your instructors and all that, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. And like our job, we go around and be like, go heavier, do 10 more, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. No, fair enough.
I've got for Andrew, who last uploaded on SoundCloud 2 years ago.
Have you got one?
No way.
DJ University.
This isn't it's a decent little list he's got going here. He's got 181 followers. There you go.
Is it called DJ University?
It is.
Yeah.
If we were all in person, we'd listen to it, but it's okay. We'll leave it for now.
Trent, I've actually forgotten we haven't shouted out our Patreon, so I'll just get onto that now.
Right, so are you onto that?
Yeah. So big ups to Andrea, Ben Krizik, Ben Robson, David Clark, Dennis Fernandez, Fraser Marnham, Glenn Oliviero, Harry Russell, Jacob Colangelo, John Morris, Jordan Smith, Jordan Waters, Luke Kelly, Natasha Williams, and Taylor Morris. Thanks for being our Patreons and supporting the podcast. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, patrons. Now, Joe, do you have some juicy Twitter questions?
I do. So during the week, Riley, I asked our Twitter followers if they had any questions for you, and yeah, we received quite a few. So
hit us with them.
Yeah. So the first one is from Milos Gotkovic, a Sydney fan, I think. He says, "Who's the best player you've played with, and why is it Ryan Grant?"
Yeah, look, Buster's Ryan's name, we call him. He's just a fun guy to have around. Nah, it's Ninkovic for sure, man. He's that good.
Yeah. Not William Gallas?
Nah, Ninko, I think because he came to Australia and like still a bit of his prime kind of thing, he was different level A.
Yeah. Next question we've got from Alex. He says, "What's your highlight of your career at F45?"
Is that?
No, he just says, "What's the highlight of your career?"
Okay.
It can include F45, or yeah, it's up to you.
Probably, we won a game in the Champions League with Sydney FC away to Shanghai or someone like that. And we won 2-1, and I got an assist or something. So that was probably my highlight, I think.
Was that in China?
Yeah.
That's where Shanghai is, Trent. Yeah.
Yeah, just confirming that it was Shanghai.
We got a question from John. He says, "Did you have any other offers before joining with Sydney?"
Not at that
You did mention the
time.
Perth one.
A few months before, there was like kind of talks and negotiations with the Mariners. But no contract offers, no.
Also got a question from Milan. He says, "What are some juicy insights into the Ali Edwards saga? Were the majority of the younger players behind the coach? And if Ali Edwards stayed, how far could he have taken the young squad at the time?" That's our best question we've ever asked.
It's very detailed.
Yeah, I think a lot of the guys that no longer play for the club would openly tell you that they were kind of backing the manager whether they were playing or not. But, Perth Glory, unfortunately, is a bit of a boys' club, and it's the same guys that are at the club now, all doing the development squad and stuff, because the captain won over Tony Sage and now controls the club.
Yeah. Now the coach.
Now, in terms of Alice Edwards, because I feel like someone did a good write-up saying if that team was given a longer period of time, because there are a lot of young players, it could have gone far. Did it feel like, take away all the bullshit, was there a good feeling in that squad at the time?
There was definitely a divide in
Okay.
squad from younger players when I was at Sydney or even other periods of glory, there was more players around that 24, 25, 26 kind of age bracket where that squad was like everyone was 23 and under, and then everyone else was 29 and over. So there was no link in between. The only one that was probably Roston Griffiths and Jamo. And they pretty old heads anyway, so they weren't really a link. So look, I think there was a divide, so it wasn't a good feel. But I think you look at the players that were in that squad, and you've got like Jamie McLaren, who's now like, the marquee at Melbourne and stuff. Yeah. So like, if you gave these players a few years all together, they probably would have been really good. But then,
just got a question off the top of my head here. Did you ever go Jackrabbit Slims with Adam Taggart?
Yes. Was that a yes? Nah, Jackrabbit's good.
But I wasn't at Glory when Tags came back.
Oh, it's a shame.
I'd already gone back to Sydney, so I think my mate Mitch Oxborough took that one.
Yeah, because there was like a long period of time when Taggart was at Slims.
Yeah, Glory plays at Slims all the time.
Yeah.
Standard.
But yeah, Trent, do you have any more questions here?
I think we've pretty much gone through everything.
Did you go on that pre-season trip to South Africa?
Yeah.
Now, we've heard some players' items got stolen. Did anything from you or any of your items get stolen there in South Africa?
No, but I was rooming with De Silva, I think, and he got his iPad stolen. That would
have been like all of his wage, De Silva, back then as well.
Yeah.
Did you almost get run over by an elephant? Because Dean told us that there was a few elephants near the tour truck. Or
that was pretty eye-opening trip, eh? Like we full went to the slums of South Africa and stuff, and that was like my first pre-season of Glory, and I was like, this isn't really what I pictured it was going to be. I thought we were going to come lie on some beach and train a little bit like in Dubai, and instead we're out in the slums.
Shit. And I ask you sort of you saying that at the Glory they encourage you to study, but was there actual, because I know some players do like a part-time degree while they're playing, but is that something you'd recommend? Because I know some players don't, they just sort of have a lot of free time.
Yeah, I think so. Like it wasn't just from Glory, so that's from like the PFA. They're funding down. So you pay like $500 a year as a player to be a member or something like that, and then you can get like $1,000 back to study, so you're already $500 ahead.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something people need to do, because I mean, there's only going to be a few that come out of it and get a job in football or in media and stuff. So majority of people are going to unfortunately come out of it at 32 and have only ever been a mediocre A-League player and not have much else to their name. It's going to be hard to get a job.
Yeah, no, very true. Very true.
But yeah, I think that's why you see some more active people on social media and stuff to get their foot in the door in these kind of outlets and stuff. But then even like my mate Ryan, he plays for Socceroos and doing so well, and everyone's like, he's killing it, and he's like, fuck, I'm probably going to be a labourer in Byron Bay.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I mean, it's what a lot of players go through when they retire. That they just have all they've known is football, and they just have nothing. Yeah,
nothing. Scary.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, on that dire note, do we have anything else to add, Trent? Or
I think how long have we gone for, Joe? I think
gone for like 45 minutes.
I think we're pretty good. 45 minutes.
Yeah.
That's a magic number. No, I think that's good, Joe.
Yeah, anyway, cheers, Riley, for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Have a good Easter. Do some push-ups for me and all that. So
I wish I knew we were on the single fins. I would have come better prepared.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll just show you actually. This was yesterday.
Those all beers. Oh yeah,
that is
love to see that.
A serious haul.
I have to work all that off now. So.
Cheers for coming on, Riley.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Have a good one.